I'm Mark Lindsay Jr.
Said he running with them gangsters with that money on his mind.
My stage name is Mark Lindsay with a Z at the end. And what I do is I'm a hip hop artist who loves God, and the music that I do is for the kingdom of God, to show God's glory, what He's done in my life, and also impact other people and touch their lives, and that way they can get closer to God as well with the kingdom. So my first song I wrote was in 3rd grade. Well, actually it was a verse. So I wrote a verse in 3rd grade for a friend of mine. Her name is Kiera McDonald. So Kiera McDonald, I remember. So I wrote a verse for her for the talent show, and it was surprising because I couldn't believe that she had asked me. I don't know if I was a little kid and maybe I was, telling people that I rap or whatever, but I don't know. But she chose me and I delivered. And I don't even remember like 2 lines. I just remember something like, I'm Mark Lindsay, coming like a shark in a frenzy, something like that. And I think at the time my cousin, he had learned about sharks in the water, about frenzy, so I was just like, I'm about to rhyme that. I was born in Kansas, Topeka, Kansas. When I was about, I want to say 3, I had gotten to a car accident. I fell out the car and my head was ran over, and I shouldn't be here, basically. I was in the ICU for like a total of 6 months. I went in for like 3 months, and then when I came out, I was like throwing up real bad. It's like my equilibrium was off, and so I had to go back, and they kept me another 3 months in the ICU. So it was pretty traumatic, and throughout my childhood, I had a lot of migraines, and I don't know, for some reason I was still, upbeat, wild, acting crazy. I don't know if it was because of the accident or I was just being a boy, but everything seems okay now, I think. Like growing up, my dad, he was visiting me up until I was about 7, but well, not now, but at the time, his new wife, she didn't want me around, so my dad stopped visiting me. That impacted me a lot, where I had built up frustration and anger that I really didn't know I had until I started channeling it in my music. And in my music, I was like really, really violent. I always talked about guns and trying to have guns, and I was even looking up different type of guns. I was kind of fascinated with guns. At the time, I liked that Desert Eagle, and I don't know why, but I was just really fascinated with guns. Also, around that time, I was, I was basically a player, and I like using that to my advantage. And I don't know, I think I just had like this type of charisma about me. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't like I was like the best looking guy, but it might just been my confidence or something, I don't know. But rumors was going around the school that I'm basically just using girls. I gotta sit here and try to convince a new chick, that I done met, that it ain't true, even though it is true. Everything about me, he a dog, he just wants you for your money, all that stuff. Basically impacted me a lot with my artist side, because it came out in my music. And I remember one time my mom, she heard some songs, she like, y'all did what? Y'all doing what? And like, basically in my music, like, I did lie a little bit, but like, when it came to like talking about, how can I say, girls and maybe fighting and stuff like that, then, and my mom can kind of recall some of them things, then it's like, okay, he actually really talking about what he doing. It was like, like, you really doing that? You at the hotels with girls and stuff like that? I'm in high school. I got a DUI down in Lawrence, Kansas, out there where KU campus is at. And basically I was out there drinking, whatever. But long story short, I should have been in jail longer, because at the time there's a guy in my neighborhood, little young boy. He then got into it with some I want to say it was the Crips or Bloods, I can't remember, but he basically robbed their house. He got into it with another gang. He robbed their house, took like guns and money, and he came to my house, you know, and I was like, look, I'm not gonna take the money, but I'm definitely gonna take that gun. So I took the gun, and I had went to Lawrence already a few times, and last time I went, they had, you know, there was shootings and stuff like that. So I'm thinking to myself, next time I go, I'm gonna bring the gun that I took from the little boy. So I was right before I was about to go, I tried to go get the gun. Now, for those of y'all that don't know, trying to put a gun in your belt and all that stuff like they do in the movies, like it ain't as easy as you think. Like it's all big and stuff, like sticking out your shirt and everything. And at the time, you know, I'm still trying to keep everything on the low. I ain't trying to let my mom know I got a gun. So, you know, she kept asking my name, calling my name when I was in the house trying to get the gun and stuff. She's like, Mark. I'm like, man, forget it. I just left the gun. So, skewed up to when I got the DUI. So that same night, I didn't get a chance to get the gun. So, left, went to the club, kicked it, and then when I was leaving, I was speeding. I ain't know, but I was looking at my rear view. I'm like, is that a Jeep? or was that the police? By the time I said, is that the police? The lights came on. I'm like, dang. So basically, I acted a fool on camera, and basically they searched my trunk and everything. They took me to jail though, but they searched my trunk, and that's where I was gonna put the gun. So I was like, man, like while I was in the car, I was basically sobered up then. I'm thinking like, man, I'm glad I did not bring that gun. Like it could have been, you know, longer that I was in jail. When I was about 16, I was trying to get my life together, you know, I was like, let me get into track and stuff. You know, you can't be smoking and doing track. Some people do it, but I was like, I ain't trying to do that. But I was living out in Topeka, Kansas, and by this time, we had moved to Olathe, Kansas, kind of the suburb of Kansas City, Missouri. And so when I went out there, I was thinking, man, I gotta get some new friends. Like, I gotta be around different type of people. I tried it that way. I'm like, you know, I gotta surround myself with, you know, basically, in my opinion, like some squares. You know what I mean? Some people that ain't out there doing stuff. You know, going to the club and stuff like that. So I was like, I found a friend of mine. His name is Ding. He was from South Africa, and he was always in the math resource center. That's what they called it at the college. I had entered into college at this time too, but he was always in there. So I was thinking, yeah, I need to be around him. And little did I know, this is my search. I was basically searching for God. I didn't know this, but I was searching for God, but I was trying to do it, you know, through different people. But God finally led me to where I need to be. So I met up with him, and I was telling him that, you know, I ain't had no license stuff, telling him the whole situation. And he's just like, you can hang out with me, I'll drive. He's like, there's a thing on Friday nights at this church. Now me, you know, I was desperate because I wasn't doing nothing. You know, I was just going to work and going to school. I couldn't be out because I ain't had no license. So desperation, I was like, let's do this. You know, let's go to church. You know what I mean? Let's go. I'm like, hey, let's go. And so we went, and when I went, I was like, well, you know, there's some cute girls over here. Like, they looking good. So little did I know he going to see a chick too. So he coming to meet up with a chick. Long story short, before you know it, he had stopped going, but I kept going. So I was just like, Lord, let me just go to these three places, you know, work, school, and church. Like, don't let me get pulled over. You know, I ain't got no license at this time. I'm thinking, you know, Lord, I'm doing the right thing. Like, don't let me get pulled over, you know. And so with me going, I would always sit in the back. And it was like, how can I say, I would see like the people that was up front, I would think that, oh wow, like they just so like into God, and like I was thinking like I'm an outsider. I always felt like an outsider when I was in the church. Not saying that it's a bad church, but this is just me personally how I felt. Just because, you know, I didn't know anything about, I didn't know nothing about God or church. I would always think, man, I gotta work my way up front. And so, you know, it was crazy because one week I would come in, I'll be in the back. Next week I'll be like, I'll move a row up. You know what I mean? Then I'll be like, let me move 2 rows up. So eventually I was in the middle row. You know what I mean? I'm like, yes, I done made it up close. I don't know what was going on in my mind, but I made it up close. By the time I got to the middle row, there was one time that I had broke down and cried. Like, I'm like, man, like just crying about my life. And, you know, everybody looking at me like, what are you crying for? I finally had made it to the second row. Just to throw that out there if y'all wanted to know. Finally made it to the second row. I didn't make it to the first yet, but I made it to that second row. So I sat behind other, you know, some other people that were worshiping. But long story short, I started, you know, trying to really, I had like a hunger for God. I really wanted to change. I really wanted to be a man of God. And I was trying in different ways. I even tried to get texts from like somebody else that was out in Texas. There was a godly person. They were saying, yeah, this guy sent out texts all the time. And like, I'm like, yeah, I'm having to send me texts. But like, it really didn't do anything for me. It didn't do nothing. I didn't feel anything. You know, I'm just like, you know, what's so exciting about him sending you a text? Like, it didn't do nothing. I still felt like depressed and down and stuff. So I had went home. I'm thinking to myself, like, man, like I'm tired of this. Like I was feeling so depressed. I was about to call him, and God had actually stopped me and said, no, do not call him. He's like, and then he just showed me what he wanted me to do.
Clean fit, that's that clean fit.